She missed one train and accidentally changed the rest of her life. Begins. Distant train sounds, gentle city atmosphere. She missed the train by 30 seconds. Not because she was late, not because she was careless, but because she stopped, just for a moment, to tie her shoe on a cold platform that smelled like rain and metal and morning exhaustion. And that was it, 30 seconds. The doors closed in front of her like a decision she could not undo. The train left, and she stood there, still, watching the red lights disappear into the distance. People around her sighed. Some cursed. Some checked their phones. Life continued for everyone else. But for her, something strange happened. She didn't feel angry. She didn't even feel rushed. She just felt delayed, like the world had gently placed a hand on her shoulder and said, "Not this moment." So she sat down on the cold bench and waited. That's when she noticed the old woman. She was sitting 2 seats away, tiny, calm, wrapped in a faded brown coat, feeding pigeons with slow, patient hands, like she had done it 1,000 times before. The pigeons didn't fight. They didn't scatter. They trusted her. Something about that made the girl stare longer than she intended. The old woman noticed and smiled. Not a polite smile, a knowing one. "Missed your train?" she asked gently. The girl nodded. The old woman chuckled softly. "Trains leave. They always do." A pause. Then she added, "But not everything that leaves is meant to be followed." The girl didn't know why, but she stayed. Minutes passed, then more. The old woman spoke again, not like a stranger, but like someone continuing a conversation already begun long ago. She talked about small things, about mornings when tea tastes like memory, about how shoes always tell the truth about a person, about how silence between two people is never empty. It is always full of something unspoken. The girl listened, not because she understood, but because she felt something in the rhythm of the voice, like being told a story she had lived before, but forgotten. Then the old woman said something that would later break her entire life into 2 parts. Before and after. Don't marry someone who makes you feel alone while they are sitting right next to you. The girl laughed lightly, a polite laugh, the kind people use when they don't take something seriously. "Sounds dramatic," she said. The old woman looked at her, long enough for the air to change slightly, and replied, "No, it just sounds late when you realize it." Wind sound. Then the next train arrived. The girl stood up. The moment ended. She walked away and forgot. Or at least she believed she did. 3 months later, she was engaged. It was not a dramatic love story. No fireworks. No destiny. Just comfort. Predictability. A man who remembered birthdays. A man who always replied to messages. A man who never raised his voice. People called it safe love. She called it good enough. The wedding plans began. Invitations. Colors. Venues. Everything moving forward like a carefully written script. Until one evening, she found herself standing in a kitchen that smelled like overcooked rice in tired silence. Her fiancé was there, phone in hand, scrolling. Not angry, not happy, just absent in a way that still shared the same room. She spoke. He nodded without looking up. She spoke again. He said, And that was it, a full conversation that never really happened. Something inside her shifted, not loudly. Not dramatically, just quietly, like a door inside her had unlocked without permission. She stood there longer than she needed to, watching him, and suddenly, she wasn't in her kitchen anymore. She was back on a train platform, cold metal benches, pigeons, an old woman's voice, alone while they are sitting right next to you. Her breath caught slightly. She shook the thought away, because thoughts like that are dangerous. They make people question things they have already decided to accept. Weeks passed, but the feeling stayed. Small moments became louder. Silences became heavier. And one night, she couldn't sleep. She got up, walked outside, and found herself at a train station. The same kind, the same smell, the same echo of departure. She sat on a bench without thinking. And for a strange reason she didn't understand, she started crying. Not because something had happened, but because she finally realized something hadn't. Nothing had happened in a long time. Not in her heart, not in her life. Just time passing, quietly, without her. And then she laughed through tears, because she remembered. 30 seconds. One missed train, one old woman, one sentence, one warning she had treated like a joke. The engagement ended quietly. No betrayal, no explosion, just truth arriving slowly enough to be undeniable. He didn't understand. Neither did anyone around her. People said she was overthinking. People said she was scared. People said she was ruining something good. But she knew something they didn't. Some truths don't arrive to convince others. They arrive to wake you up. Months later, she moved to a different city. Small apartment, new job, different streets, different mornings. At first she felt lost. Then slowly she felt something else. Space. Not loneliness. Space. And in that space, something unfamiliar began growing. Not love. Not yet. But awareness. She started noticing things she had never noticed before. A man sitting alone at a cafe, always looking at the door instead of his coffee. A woman laughing too loudly as if trying to fill silence that kept returning. A child holding his mother's hand too tightly, like he was afraid she might disappear. Life was always speaking. She had just never been listening. One afternoon, years later, she walked past a train station again. Same sound, same rhythm. But she didn't stop. She just smiled. Because now she understood something simple. The train she missed that day was not the train she was supposed to take. It was the train that stopped her long enough to hear a voice that would change everything she would become. And somewhere in her memory, an old woman was still feeding pigeons, still smiling, still saying quietly to no one in particular, some delays are not delays at all. They are protection wearing the disguise of inconvenience. And for the first time in a long time, she agreed.